Hey everybody, happy Global CE Day, and we've got with us Dr. Fred Hosea, presently in Ecuador. And Fred, tell us about what you do there.
Well, I work primarily with indigenous communities around issues of health, cultural preservation, and sustainable development. There are lots of different projects I have underway. We're trying to also make an integration between the midwife culture and the use of ultrasound to have some diagnostic capabilities where the midwives are comfortable with it and it fits into their cultural practices. Those are the main things.
What is your latest work in the area of health technologies? I know you've been a longtime advocate for smarter approaches to innovation and so on.
Yeah. Well, I would say the most relevant project has been around trying to get an integrated program for stroke response centered on transcranial Doppler ultrasound. The prices of that are coming down, and so it's possible to have a portable units that can be sent immediately to the side of the stroke victim and to ascertain whether it's hemorrhagic or ischemic, and then escalate the treatment protocols. Because right now there's so many delays that by the time you actually get the appropriate treatment, you've probably had permanent brain damage. So this is something we actually have a U.S. ultrasound expert who lives here in Cotacachi, and she's interested in this project. So we'll be trying to coordinate with the local hospital and the bomberos, the fire trucks, to see if there's a way to have a much more responsive approach to continuity of care for stroke victims.
Fred, do you have a connection with the clinical engineers in Ecuador? I know, but you're part of this tech center in Yache. Tell us more about all that.
Mm-hmm. Well, as in most countries, clinical engineering is at the beginning stages of its existence. So here, that role is mostly occupied by people who are called biomedical engineers, if they're called anything. So we're really at stage 0.1 or maybe 0.2. The strong point here in Ecuador is the existence of the Yache Tech University. It was established about, I think 7 years ago, more or less, during the previous government, which was committed to creating a university dedicated to innovation as a way of basically lifting the national economy and transforming the dependence on oil and mining as the main forms of national income. They want to move toward a more sustainable model of development centered on innovation. So Yache Tech was founded to bring together the best students in the country, and they are excellent. They are outstanding students. And they also recruited faculty, world-class faculty from over 20 countries. So these faculty came in with rich research backgrounds. So it's a really high-class, high-tech university. Then the problem is set in with budget problems, with difficulty setting up the laboratories, construction problems, et cetera. So the magnificent vision that was there at first soon became a political football with here. And so there was lots of turnover with rectors. They've had like 5 rectors in the past 7 years. So leadership problems. So one of my reasons for coming to Ecuador was to teach there, which I did manage to do for 2 semesters. I taught the art and science of innovation. And it was well received and I think very successfully accomplished. But I guess that brings us to the challenges that we're facing now with the pandemic globally, and lots of institutional shakiness and social destabilization because of COVID and the economic problems and problems of social coherence, um, problems of false information circulating about false cures or false preventions, et cetera.
Fred, I know you've landed in the middle of that, and like you said, this happens in many countries. So you've developed some new models for that. Tell us about that?
Well, one of the things I'm focusing on is just making a distinction, a sort of three-level distinction. So the first is there's kind of innovation that would be typical in Boston or Silicon Valley or places in Europe or Japan, et cetera, that is high tech. They've got budgets, et cetera. So they're sort of continuing this trajectory of highly sophisticated innovation. Next level down would be something that's been around for a while called frugal innovation, which is innovation intended for low resource locations. And I think we need a new category, which I'm calling austere innovation, that basically, a lot of the trajectories for technological innovation, organizational innovation, policy innovation at the level of the government, those things are all almost paralyzed by the pandemic and the economic effects of it. So I think austere innovation, I think that the concept of innovation is still valid. It's just that we need to bring those talents to bear in a different way that is more realistically grounded in what is possible under these really austere circumstances. And
so Fred, with this new model, are you going to be able to try that out where you are?
I really can't say at this point. I've tried for several years to help build or stimulate relationships, interconnections from the university to the Ministry of Health, and the institutional turnover is just a constant problem. We have particularly with the pandemic, we have serious layoffs in hospitals, in the public health system. We have layoffs at university. 40 professors were laid off at Yachai.
Well, Fred, I want to say something positive about that. You like some others, a very few others, have gone into hard places, and you've got this incredible experience with your doctorate in organizational effectiveness, your 30 years around health IT and clinical engineering. You've got the models, you've got the background, you've got the network. You need partners, and I know there's others out there in countries that hear what Fred's saying and say, I wish I could partner with this guy. I wish I could be one of his model places. And so I want, we'll make it easy for you guys to connect with Fred, because he and you together can do some wonderful things in this space. Fred, any closing comments and encouragement after you're finished with what you want to say?
Yeah. Well, I agree that that partnership model is essential. I mean, it's not just a nice to have. These issues are organizational, institutional, technological, economic, cultural, so many different dimensions. And it's really impossible to have a sort of single solution or a single sponsor or champion who will solve all this for all of those different dimensions. At Yachai Tech, the students and the faculty continue to be the bright star in the middle of this otherwise dark story. The students have created their own biomedical engineering club, which puts on events. They have fairs. They've had students who have gone on to win international prizes and scholarships. They created their own IEEE EMBS chapter. So they're getting into the serious sort of institutional, professional nitty-gritty of how to organize nationally on the basis of international resources and professional standards. So that's very encouraging to me. And so as part of this, tomorrow I'm having some interviews with students and faculty from Yachai Tech to have them reflect on their experiences trying to get biomedical and clinical engineering going here as a national thing. And then hopefully we may be able to include that with this interview.
Fred, we love what you're doing, and we love you, and we're cheering for you. And thank you for your time today.
Okay, thank you. Best luck to everybody.
Watch out for those volcanoes.